Welcome to the 4x4 Canon podcast. I'm your host, Trisha.
And I'm your other host, Wes. And today we got a really different episode for you guys. It's something that we haven't done before. We are bringing on Jason from Woolove, and they are a Canadian apparel company. And this is the first time we've ever had somebody on to do with apparel, but their company does a lot with underlayers and stuff like that. And especially with winter coming up, I know a lot of our listeners are outdoor enthusiasts that enjoy the outdoors all year round, whether it's skiing or snowshoeing, etc. So we thought this is a good opportunity to bring on a Canadian company that you guys, I think, will find quite interesting. So Jason from Woolove, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Excited to be here.
Jason, what is something that our listeners do not know about you or maybe surprised to know about you?
Oh, that is a great question. But to put some deep thought into this, I got a lot of different interests and a lot of different activities I like to do. But I think something that's new for me over the last couple of years is learn how to slalom water ski. And that's been an absolute blast. If you're able to get out like later in the evening when the lake is really calm, and drop a ski and get down to one and kind of start carving there, it's a whole different experience. And you got to be paying attention, and it's a good little workout, but it's also a ton of fun.
Do you enjoy that more than winter skiing, like downhill skiing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think as anybody will tell you, when you've got just pillows of snow waiting for you and you're flying through this, I don't know. That's true euphoria. I think I probably would still have to stick with a powdery day of downhill skiing. But in the summertime, this is probably the next best thing I can think of.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's interesting.
So we were talking off air earlier, and I have a habit of calling it Woolove. That's not right, I know, but it's basically Wolove. And so, like I say, I call it Woolove, but it is actually supposed to be called Woolove. Woolove makes sense to me. It still takes me used to. It's a visual thing. But our listeners can find your website at wool.love, which totally makes sense. That's where you have all your apparel, basically. And then on Instagram and Facebook as Woolove Apparel. And that's WOLOVE apparel. And like I say, it's our first episode where we talk about clothing. Winter's coming out, and I think it'll be really neat to discuss how to keep warm. That's one thing that we all sometimes struggle with. Everybody says do it in layers, right? And I know you've got some really good base layers with your products. My good friend, Ryan Van Veen, he's one of your ambassadors. Whenever you go camping, the guy, he's just not shut up about Woolove. And so I'm like, okay, we got to talk to these guys. We got to check it out, see why it's so popular. And maybe you can just give a quick rundown of what Woolove is.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to talk about this because it's a good time of year for it with the fall and winter season approaching. These are the types of things that are perfect for anybody who has an active outdoor lifestyle, and they have a kind of a wide array of uses, and they're very versatile. So what a base layer is essentially is it's the first thing that you're going to put on before you go outside and do any of your favorite outdoor activities. And the reason it's the first thing you put on is because it's going to help really regulate your body temperature so that you stay warm when it's cold outside, but also so that when you do start to get warm and break a sweat, that it helps wick the moisture away. And merino wool is uniquely equipped to do that because without getting too technical, it's got what's called like a waxy lanolin coating around the outside of the fibers. And essentially what that does is better than pretty much any synthetic fabric or fiber. It just helps pull the moisture away and it holds much more moisture than cotton or any sort of polyester or any spandex type of blend does. And by doing that, it insulates you when you need to be insulated and warm, but also lets the air pass through and helps keep you cool if you're hiking or hunting or fishing or that kind of thing, which is really helpful because, as you guys know, in the fall, sometimes the morning starts out and it's 5 or 10 degrees, but by the afternoon, maybe it's 15 or 20. And, you never really know what you're working with sometimes. So that's the long and the short of it. It's really a really unique fiber that's really well suited to life in Canada.
And I honestly didn't know what the heck merino wool is. And I'm like, is this off of an alpaca or something like that? But it's actually off of a merino sheep, right?
Yeah, and that's a good point. Most sheep that you know and love are the ones from K or the ones across Canada, but the Merino sheep is unique to sort of Australia and New Zealand, and they're maybe not used as so much for eating as it's more so their wool is the really precious part of them, and their wool is just much finer and it's much softer. So a lot of us think of like wool as grandma's itchy yarn, that blanket or that sweater that she knit you that you can't stand. Merino doesn't have that. It's got this almost like silky, soft, smooth feel to it. And you wear it, you don't even really notice it's there after a little while. That's what kind of makes it a little bit more premium, and it's why it's so sought after in the outdoor community.
I was thinking like socks are a perfect example of that, right? When I'm out, say, snowshoeing or doing other winter activities, I put on my regular wool socks and they get sweaty and they get itchy and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I was looking at your product with, because wool socks just don't work well. Regular wool socks, I should say.
Yeah. And what I always tell people is that the socks are the one thing in the lineup that aren't 100% merino wool. You need to have a little bit of spandex or a little bit of nylon in there. Otherwise, it would slide off your foot like it's a dish towel or something, which isn't any good to anybody. Anybody, when your sock comes off in your hiking boot or something like that, how annoying of a feeling that is. So we still get, we have a little bit of spandex in there so it nicely hugs the foot and holds everything in place. But the other huge benefit to merino, and this is why people like it so much for the camping and the multi-day use, skiing, things like that, is that it's totally odor-free. You can wear these socks for days on end and give them the sniff test at the end if you dare, and you'll be blown away to see that like there is genuinely no smell, which is a part of that unique part of the merino structure. Another huge benefit.
Yeah, no doubt. I was reading some of the reviews on your website where people had commented on certain products, and somebody had mentioned that they were on a multi-day hike and they wore the same shirt for about 4 days, and then they decided, okay, I'm going to throw on a different shirt, and the shirt of yours that they've been wearing for 4 days had no smell to it, but I'm going to go ahead and try use this other shirt. And after 1 day of that new shirt from another company stunk so bad, and their shirt of yours that had been 4 or 5 days had no smell at all, or very little smells.
Yeah, it's such a neat thing. Like when I first came across merino, I had that total feeling of this is too good to be true kind of thing. I'm going to test this out, but I'm just not sure this is really, maybe this is just good marketing and that's what it is. But no, I think that's the challenge that we say to anybody is give it a try, see for yourself. If you don't believe us, free returns, free shipping on returns. It's like a risk-free thing. And 99% of people are blown away to experience that. And campers who are doing the multi-day overnight stuff, you come back from that sometimes and you just honestly want to throw your whole bag in the garbage. And that's not the case with merino, which is, for some of us, it's, you really need that. It's a nice feature to have.
Yeah, especially when you're an old fat guy like me and you sweat away, right? So
it's great for every body type, Wes.
So we'll get into the products in a second, but how did this all come about? Like you didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to have a company with merino wool kind of idea. I assume there's some sort of backstory to this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Fresh out of university, I had moved to Toronto and I was working at Canadian Tire head office. And the work I was doing was interesting, but I just felt like there was more I wanted to do and there was more I had to offer. And I had been wanting to start my own business and I'd wanted to do something in the apparel world and stuff. But I didn't know totally what I wanted to do. And the big problem that I've always had in life is I just have too many hobbies. There's too many things that I like to do, whether it's like from fishing to playing hockey or running or biking or whatever. It's just, I'm happy to do all of it. And we live in this world right now of ultra specialized gear for everything, which is fantastic. And I love the level of innovation. But I think along the way there, we've lost those articles of clothing that we can throw on and do anything in. And I had gone over and on a trip to China and I was doing some sourcing and I was looking for some things and I came across merino wool in the process. And I read about it and I heard about it and I thought to myself, yeah, there's no way this stuff is actually what people say it is. So I'll take it back and I'll try it for myself. And Put it through the ringer, definitely wore it for a few days. Maybe that's too much information, but gave it a shot and put it through the ringer, and I was really blown away. And at the time, I think there was a few boxer companies that were doing really well selling a premium underwear, premium boxers. And I thought, if these guys can charge this amount of money for a pair of boxers, then, and they're not even that great, then I've got something that actually is, pretty amazing here. So I can do this. And long story short, we launched the business that fall, and people jumped on it pretty quickly and were pretty blown away by the boxers and the long sleeves. And we've basically just been adding to the lineup ever since.
Yeah, so let's hop into some of that lineup. Let's start off with the boxers. I have a big package. I got big balls, and it gets gross down there in the summertime. So I'm thinking, yeah, you should see Trisha's face right now. For her listeners, it is not a pretty face right now. So the fact that merino wool is a coolant as well and it doesn't smell some of the other stuff would after a while. Boxers and even ladies' underwear is a great idea for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's one of these things where it breathes so well, and it's not going to retain any odor. And it's but the word that we use is thermoregulating, which is just basically to say that it's temperature regulating. And the antimicrobial just means that it doesn't allow for the buildup of bacteria, which is why there is no smell. So when it comes to wearing product around our most sensitive areas, these are some of the features that you're maybe looking for in apparel. And so that's why we started with that kind of stuff and built up from there. So if you are having some challenges with that, Wes, I would encourage you to give them a try, and you might be blown away.
No, it definitely sounds like a plan for sure. Hopping upstairs, you guys have got long sleeve shirts. I guess, for lack of better terms, a long sleeve t-shirt, but I don't know what else to exactly call it. What else have you got for upper body apparel?
Absolutely. So we got the long sleeves and the leggings. Those are core staple items in the lineup. Those will run you from fall, winter into spring, and those are great to have. Outside of that, though, the quarter zip is something that's really popular year round. It's great because it acts as the same function as a long sleeve, but you've got the zipper so you can do some venting. So let's say you are stationary, maybe you're in a boat fishing or you're in your tree stand hunting, and maybe you get a little chilly. You can have the quarter zip done all the way up. But as you're maybe hiking into that tree stand, or as you're maybe out on a hike alone, just hiking away, you can have that quarter zip undone. It just allows for a little bit more breathability. So the quarter zips have been very popular. We've also brought in a quarter zip hoodie as well. The hoodie is a little bit more form-fitting to the head. So it's really nice if you're fishing, for example, you're boating, it's nice to have something to cut the chill on the ears. Or if if you've got a hood up on a rain jacket or something like that, as you're out hunting or you're out hiking, it's insulating in a way that's comfortable, but you're not going to get super sweaty and overheat. Yeah, both the quarter zips and the long sleeve hoodie are very popular.
And then the leggings as well, right? Basically long underwear.
Yeah, those come in a couple of different weights. So the main one, your all-purpose, I'll say, is your 190 GSM. That's our most popular option. And a lot of people get these and they think, geez, these are really thin. Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to hold up. You'll be pleasantly surprised to see what something that's lightweight and thin can do in terms of keeping you warm up to. This is very much preference. Some folks can handle minus 30, they don't feel a thing. Other people at minus 5, they're freezing. But generally speaking, these are good to minus 20, minus 25. They'll cover you. And then we've brought in a sort of what's called a mid-weight base layer. And then at our 260 GSM, that's more of your heavyweight base layer. And those are good to when it's minus 40 and it's real cold outside and you're out there for whatever reason, it's sketchy outside. Maybe you're shoveling the snow, or maybe you got to work, or maybe you just really like getting out there. Those will suit you a little bit more. So we try to offer a few different weights in those, and some of that does come down to preference.
Work is another thing that a lot of people don't exactly have a choice of when they have to work outside. And so having a good base layer is critical to those workers, whether they're working on telephone lines or whatever.
Yeah, you got it. We've had a lot of folks in construction, and it's funny you say that, specifically guys who are doing hydro, just because they got to be out there no matter what. And you can wear them a couple days in a row, not a big deal. Keeps you warm and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of benefits. So it's just, again, it comes back to that versatility of merino. That's one of the things that people know and love about it.
Remark again about the layers.
Base layers.
So the base layers have different degrees of the base layer from different temperatures ranging. And for myself, I'm a person that gets cold really fast. So for me, even like I was camping this weekend, it was still warm, but at night it dropped. But I'm a person who gets cold very easily. So just to have a gear that's, hey, you know what? If I want something a little bit warmer or thicker layer, I could go something a little bit thicker and then have the option to go have something thinner just because my body would be better regulated that way. I think that's a pretty cool option.
There's rarely ever going to be that one article of clothing that you can put on that's going to cover you all the way up to -30, -40. It's layering is definitely the name of the game. And for us, it's like base layers is just starting yourself up with the right foundation, because let's say you do throw your base layer on, right? Your sort of mid-weight base layer, and then maybe you've got some snow pants over top, or maybe you've got even some people will wear the base layer leggings and maybe a looser fitting leggings and then a layer of snow pants. That's what you need, because maybe you want like a waterproof or a water resistant outer shell or something that's a little bit more windproof. As you're walking and moving around, you might be catching a sweat, breaking a sweat, and you don't want to take your snow pants off or something like that and just have your legs be puddles. And same thing for your long sleeve. If you're hiking up a mountain, you've got your base layer on, maybe you've got a quarter zip and then a down parka or a rain jacket or something like that. The moment you get up there and you're like, I'm super hot, I've gotten up to the top of the mountain, whatever, you shed a few layers, that's when you get cold really quickly. And that's when you can start to get sick, and that's when problems start to happen. So what you want to start with is that base layer that wicks the moisture away really well. It'll dry quickly so that if you do get to the top, you want to shed a few layers and you are sweaty, it's gonna dump the moisture really quickly, so that when you go to layer back up and walk down the mountain or continue along with your activity, you've got a little bit more comfort and you're not feeling wet and cold. Because as we all know, the moment you start to feel cold or you start to feel wet, that's when the adventure starts to turn into type 2 fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sticks with you, and it's so hard to get warm after you've gotten, wet and cold. So
Yeah.
And just from a safety perspective as well, too. You don't want to put yourself or the others you're with in harm if you're getting cold and getting sick.
Now you have a pretty cool article of clothing for women, and it's the wool tank top. It's a crew neck. And I noticed that it's quite popular because it is sold out on your website.
We have had a hard time keeping this one in stock, I have to say. I appreciate everyone's support on this. It's been a really popular item. I think it's because it's just got so much versatility. Great as like an undershirt or like in the wintertime if you want to wear it to bed, that kind of thing. Also great if you're just wearing it to the gym. It doesn't stink. So if you're taking it, throw it in your gym locker for a couple of days, nobody's going to know. And also just looks good in the summertime. So long story, simple answer, we're working on it. We'll try and get back in stock soon here.
You've also got some really neat bundles. I was looking at the Adventure Bundle, which is a long sleeve shirt, the long underwear, socks, and the toque. And it was like $218. So it's a great little starter package if somebody just wants to dip their toes into this whole merino wool thing. And there's packages for men and women, etc.
Yeah, that's a huge part of what I'm all about too, is I want to bring the highest quality products to market that I can. I want to give you guys really good quality stuff because it's the same that I expect and I demand for myself. But like with everybody, there's been so much inflation. Everything costs so much money these days. It's gone crazy. I've done everything I can to kind of share the costs and spread the costs out around the items so we can basically keep the costs a little bit lower. So to me, it's all about like premium quality and versatile products, but keeping them at a reasonable price. There's always a little bit of sticker shock with merino. I think until you try it and understand a little bit more for yourself, it's always going to be more expensive than your basic t-shirts and things like that. And there's a good reason for it. But we're doing our best at Woolove to keep the costs down and make it a little bit more affordable and make it a little bit more entry level for people.
Yeah, it's definitely not a $20 t-shirt that you're picking up at Walmart, right? There's a whole nother, there's more to it. But yeah, definitely to our listeners, it's worth checking out their package deals because they've got some really neat packages there.
So with the bundles too, you can always take, and if you want to get like the adventure kit or the starter kit with the long sleeve, the leggings, the socks, and the beanie, you can always keep the top and the bottom for yourself and maybe gift the socks and the beanie. Or you can gift the whole thing if you're feeling generous. But gives you a little bit of optionality there to do some gifting or to get something for yourself and something for your wife or your partner.
And we're in Canada, we call it a toque.
I feel like a toque has got a little more substance. Like the beanie is supposed to be a little more form-fitting.
Yeah.
And the toque's a little bit more thicker, but maybe I'll have to go to the website here and make some adjustments.
No, you're right. The beanie is thinner, smaller, tighter fitting, but I just had to rub it in.
Smile, I'll make an adjustment.
We've talked about how well it works with sweat and all that other stuff. How do you wash merino wool?
Excellent question. Generally speaking, you just want to throw it in with your regular stuff. You can always do a cold wash versus a hot wash.
Okay.
Better anyway for the environment and cheaper to do a cold water wash in general. So you can do that. And then generally speaking, it's best to let it hang to dry. You can lay it flat or just gently drape it over. Alternatively, though, if you do throw it in the dryer and you put it on a low heat tumble dried, you shouldn't have any problems. I know that some folks are always really concerned about keeping the merino in tip-top shape. And I think for best results, cold water, lay flat to dry. You'll never go wrong with that. But if you're human like the rest of us and you're just trying to do all your laundry at the same time and you put it in with your regular wash and you just do a low heat tumble dry, generally speaking, you shouldn't ever have a problem.
Yeah, for our listeners who are interested in looking at the bundles and all the gear and apparel that you have, you do offer sizing charts on the website. And after reading some of the reviews, a lot of people say the sizing is basically true to what you have on the website when they receive the product. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would say with sizing, you've gotten the size guides fairly refined at this point. So it will, generally speaking, fit true to size. If you're a medium, you should fit a medium. But there's a level of this that is about preference. So generally speaking, I would say that if it fits a little bit more snug, it's going to perform best if it's form-fitting, not super tight, but if it fits, just because it'll do a little bit better job of wicking the moisture away and doing its job. But if you're the type of person that just doesn't like to wear snug clothing and likes a little bit of looseness, a little bit of bagginess, it's going to perform all the same for you as well too. So if you like a little more room, then feel free to size up. But what we always say too is I want you to be happy at the end of the day. I want you to be enjoying your adventures and things like that. And if something doesn't fit right or doesn't feel right, it's never a problem to return it and get the size you're looking for.
So we talked about Ryan Van Veen earlier, and he is one of your, I don't know what you want to call Ryan.
It's an enigma, but he's been a long time brand ambassador of ours. And he's put a lot of our products to the test. And I think half of the cool photos on the website are probably just from him alone. That guy is all over the place. It's amazing.
Yeah, you got to check him out. To our listeners, Ryan Van Veen Photography on Instagram. He has always got some great pictures. The other day, this weekend, he's out in snow when we're at the end of September here, and he's out in snow in Revelstoke. But yeah, he's always out, whether he's paddleboarding or hiking or mountain biking. Him and his wife are huge mountain bikers. But yeah, he's been a brand ambassador of yours right from the beginning. So I did ask him, because he is a good friend of mine, I did ask him, what question should I ask Jason? And one of the questions he had was, how did you find that amazingly handsome ambassador in Vernon?
Every once in a while, Wes, pull a rabbit out of a hat and we get real lucky. And I was scrolling through Instagram one day and Ryan just jumped out of the screen at me. And I was like, that guy, I gotta have that guy.
One of the other questions he had was, do you even overland?
I love it. Ryan, waiting for the invite. Now that I came all the way out to BC, you've been giving me a hard time. Where's the weekend camping adventure? Pull me up.
We'll get you out in when we go out in November, December, January. We'll test your products out.
I was going to say, don't use me in September, October here. I want the phone call in mid-January. See how much of that prairie blood is left in me.
Yeah. So, having said that, Woolove is everything's shipped out of Winterpeg, right? So
you got it. Yep.
Yeah. And you really know what cold weather's
exactly. It's born in the cold. It's shipped directly out of the cold. It's like your Coors Light. It's brewed cold. It's a packet where they're cold. They're wearing jackets in the warehouse. They're wearing Woolove in the warehouse. They're ready.
That's great. So You mentioned that you've recently moved out yourself, out to Vancouver, out to the West Coast, and that's a huge difference for the wintertime. Did you move here because of the tropical winters in Vancouver?
It definitely wasn't a reason I didn't move here. I'll say that much. I got to say, having grown up in Winnipeg, I've become desensitized. Nothing really is too bad anymore. But as we were talking about before, I lived in Toronto for the better part of a decade and absolutely loved it there. But getting out in nature when you live in the GTA is a real challenge.
Yeah.
And I just have always had a strong pull to the West Coast. And I had the opportunity, and between sort of the Woolove brand, and we've got a new brand as well too, and just felt like this was the right place to be so I could jet off to the mountains and see this a little more. And I also thought God willing, if I did get the chance to hang out with Ryan a little bit more, then I was going to have a better chance out in BC than I would in Ontario.
And he keeps snubbing you.
He's a tough guy to get a hold of. He never seems to have cell service. I don't know what's up with that.
He's always out exploring. So,
like a good overlander.
Exactly. You mentioned another company, and let's talk about Northern Sun.
Sure. Absolutely. So
maybe if you can give the listeners a quick rundown on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Northern Sun is a fascinating brand, and it has a rich history in Canada. It's been around since the late 1970s and was a lot of fur coats and things like that. So it very much was designed for life in Canada to handle the rugged elements. It was inspired a lot by just the nature in Canada and the true beauty of the North. And that was around until sort of the mid 2000s, and it went defunct for a little bit. Had the opportunity a couple of years ago to reboot it and bring it back to life, but wanted to do so in a way that was going to be versatile with kind of modern designs and modern fabrics. I further to the mission with Woolove in wanting versatile gear that I could wear for all kinds of activities. I wanted to really carry that forward into Northern Sun. So Northern Sun it's all outerwear. So everything from your soft shells and rain jackets to your down jackets and 3-in-1 jackets. We just wanted something that was versatile, really high quality, good value. But there's a lot of great jackets out there, but not everybody wants to pay $1,000 for them. And so he just wanted to bring something in that was going to be good quality and look good and have a lot of versatility. And so that's how Northern Sun was reborn over the last couple of years here.
Yeah, I had a good look through the website, and not only does the product look good, I know the company's born in the 70s, but you're still not using that 70s technology and 70s style. All the products on there are good looking products, but they also seem to suit a purpose with all of them too.
Yeah, like what we want is, again, I come from this, got a lot of different interests, a lot of different hobbies, and I wanted something that I could feel like I could wear day to day on my regular commutes or running errands, grabbing coffee with friends, doing that kind of thing. But also if I decide to go and hike up a mountain on the weekend, or I want to jump on a plane and travel somewhere, I just wanted something that I felt had that level of versatility. The one particular product that people really know us for with Northern Sun is we've got a really cool down jacket that actually folds up into a travel neck pillow. So it helps you overcome some of those baggage fees. And what do I do with, my jacket when I'm traveling maybe down south, or how do I kind of travel light and not bulky? And this has been the answer to a lot of people's problems with.
There's a really good video on Northern Sun's, I believe it's on their Instagram channel, where this lady is folding it up in the airport and folding it into a pillow so she can use that on the thing. So having said that, what is Northern Sun's website and Instagram handles?
Yeah, for sure. It's northernsuncanada.com is the website. There's links to the Instagram account there as well. And the Instagram is just Northern Sun Canada as well. So both are the same. Can't go wrong either way. And check out both the Woolove and the Northern Sun pages. We will be busy all fall and winter here we like to do some different product giveaways and like to look after people. I know it's, like I said, cost of everything just feels like it's skyrocketed like crazy the last while here. So I like to try and run some promo codes and some discounts where we can. And we just like it. Being outside is so much fun in this country. We've got so much to do. We've got so much to see and so much to explore. And I want everybody to be able to have the opportunity to do that and have great gear to do that. And so we're just doing everything we can to support people in their daily commutes and all their fun weekend adventures.
We definitely all appreciate that.
Your backyard here, we've just got so much good ground to cover, and we're so lucky. That'd be my biggest thing. Just go outside. Just go outside and do stuff outside.
I saw something the other day on, I think it was probably Instagram, and basically this lady is saying, go outside is free, right? We spend so much money on doing all these other things and we may not even enjoy them, but just go outside. It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially being in BC here, we've got so much stuff around us. And even, I know in Ontario, Tricia, you've got lots of good stuff out there as well, too. I always had a lot of fun going to all the different towns and stuff outside of Toronto and as well. Nothing to lose.
This weekend, it was one of those weekends where I'm like, I'm getting out of the city. I'm taking the whole weekend, getting out of this building, concrete jungle, and I'm wheeling and I'm camping. That's it.
What
and I know we don't have the mountains here and whatnot, but it's still, like I said, go outside is free. And it's good for your mental health. And it's good for just to get out and explore and just be in peace and in nature.
Yeah. And the Canadian Shield is incredible too. If you're doing that drive and you're just north of Sault Ste. Marie and you're going into Lake Superior Provincial Park or or Algoma County or anything like that, if that doesn't totally knock your socks off, like the shorelines of Lake Superior there, like you feel like you're at the ocean with how impressive it is. And when storms roll through there's nothing quite like it. So there's something to be enjoyed in every kind of nook and cranny out there.
Even on Saturday, I had to get out of the house. I needed to get out. And so I went for a quick drive, 15, 20 minutes down one of the dirt roads here and come across railway tracks. I just parked and I walked the tracks for probably 4K each way.
Wow.
And some of the different views that I saw that you would never see from a road because I just stopped and walked along the tracks. And it's just simple things like that.
Yeah. You do enough like traveling and stuff like that, you turn into a storyteller because you got so many cool things that you see along the way. No, that's good. I'm happy to hear you did that. And I'm happy to hear, Tricia, that you ditched Glass Steel City, the concrete jungle, and check out there.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite camping spot or somewhere that you like to go in particular? Either of you?
We'll
flip the script here. I'll make you guys answer some questions first.
It's a good one.
Go ahead, Trish.
I don't know. For me, I think growing up, I've always lived in Ontario. For me, growing up, we always went to Algonquin. That was one of the big things growing up as a kid. Going hiking and learning how to fish and camp and canoe was always in Algonquin Park. So that's always held like a special spot to drive up and go to Algonquin. So that's probably like the number one spot I like to go to, but I go everywhere. But that's one place,
Algonquin is just an incredible part of Ontario.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year too, as the leaves change colors.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. See how the moon.
I definitely have some favorites, and it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going out kayaking, like Saskam Lake or Dunn Lake, there's some really great lakes in the interior of BC, and I can be on a lake 15 minutes from my house. And there's sometimes I will actually go camping just on it's Friday at 3:00, decide, okay, I'm going to go just toss my stuff in my truck and go. And I've got a couple little hidden spots, 15, 20 minutes out of the side of town that nobody else really knows about. So I'm very lucky that way. Also, being in BC, we've got these things, Tricia, called mountains. And they... So
he's always rubbing his face.
So there's lots of great areas in BC for mountain wise, and no matter where you go, whether you're at the coastal mountains or the Rockies or even in the interior where I am, there's all kinds of wonderful areas. But I think that overall, as you mentioned earlier, we're so lucky to live where we are. Canada is such a beautiful and vast country. We've got 3 oceans, and how many countries have 3 oceans, right? Like, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And even the lakes, the Great Lakes in the interior, like in the middle of Canada, they're as big as oceans almost kind of idea, right? It takes you so long to get across them or go the full length of them. But if there's anywhere in Canada you haven't been, Jason, where would you like to go?
That's a great question. I think if you asked me this 2 weeks ago, it probably would have been the Yukon. Having not been up there, and I'll be remiss if I don't make it back up there. I think there's more northerly parts of BC that I would really like to get to, or any sort of northern parts of Vancouver Island. Yeah, I think just not even so much the destination, but the journey getting up there is I think half the fun. But it would be great to get up to just anywhere really in northern BC. I haven't covered a lot of ground up there, but more to that too. Though I should know this, I'm blanking on this, but I think up in northern Alberta as well too, you've got pretty impressive, almost desert-like region up there that would be really neat to go and visit. And even in my own backyard, Manitoba, where I grew up, I still haven't been up to Churchill, so that would be another one for sure. It'd be really nice to get up there as well.
Yeah, northern Manitoba, from my understanding, is wonderful, as well as northern Saskatchewan. You got a ton of great fishing lakes up there, and we're so lucky. We talk about it all the time. Next week, we've got a gentleman coming up from Quebec, I believe, Tricia.
Yeah, Quebec. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've got a gentleman coming up from Quebec, and we've had a lot of East Coast guys on, and it's just, we're so lucky where we live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. Just jump in the car and go. Something.
I was going to ask Jason, did you want to just talk about, you do have some great partners that you guys work with, your Woolove and also Northern Sun. Did you want to talk a little bit about those? Like you're with Woolove, you guys work with, is it the Winnipeg Police, correct? I believe.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
for sure. I'll touch on both of those. Yeah, with Woolove, we're really proud to be a supplier of Winnipeg Police Service. They've been using our base layers for the last year or two now, and if they can make a difference for those guys, they can almost certainly make a difference for you. And we just say we have a lot of pride with that partnership, just knowing that we're helping keep first responders safe and keeping them comfortable because they're outside in all kinds of conditions and getting in and out of their patrol cars and things like that. So really proud to support them. And we have a few other relationships like that where Woolove does support fire, EMS, police, military, and that's something that we're really proud to do. And then more on the Northern Sun side of things, we're just really big on people getting out and getting active. So one of our partners in Vancouver is called Social Run Club, where people get out to move and connect and have fun every sort of Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And there's all kinds of events in the community there. So really happy to support them. And then in Toronto, there's a group called Wilderness Union, and they help get groups of people out to go and camp and explore and things like that they might not otherwise do with their friend groups. So really happy to support people in their various endeavors as they get outdoors, whether that's for work or just for fun or just to be social.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for doing that. That's awesome. Giving back to our communities, and not just, and you guys actually touched a few different provinces, so that's pretty awesome too. Ontario, Winnipeg, and BC. So thanks for that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's something I get a lot of joy out of, and I just feel like I've been very fortunate to get to explore a lot of these things and do a lot of different things in Canada, and just want as many people to be able to experience it as I have.
So once again, we are talking with Jason from Woolove as well as Northern Sun, and you can check Woolove out at wool.love is their website, and then Woolove apparel on Instagram and Facebook, and check out all the base materials. I was really impressed with the website, how it's laid out, and you guys are doing a great job. There's a lot of people I know that are running your apparel and definitely enjoy it, as well as check out we also discussed about Northern Sun, and that's a product line that I think it's all good looking stuff too. So good looking and works well. Once again, Northern Sun and Woolove, Jason, we really appreciate you come on board tonight and talking about your products.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Wes. And Tricia, thank you very much for having me. It's been a lot of fun to chat with you guys, and hope the community has taken a few tidbits as well with them. And just fun to be able to chat about this, and looking forward to the months coming up here.
Yeah, winter is your time of year, your busy time of year.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'll say that much for sure.
Awesome, Jason. Really appreciate you coming on board tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Right, thank you, guys. Take care.